It happened. Oh my gosh, it happened. We have new Marvel Champions content. Hello and welcome to Nelson All Over Cards. Today we are talking about new Marvel Champions content we're getting later this summer. Now, historically, well actually this is the first time I've ever covered any one of these like new boxes on this channel. I've done the hero packs before, but this is the first campaign box I've ever done one of these videos for. And there's a lot of stuff. And so what we're going to do is we're going to break it up into two different videos. So this video is going to be covering the heroes that come in the box along with the player cards. And then we're going to be putting out another video later today that's going to go over all the encounter stuff. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, there's a lot. This is going to be a long video. The other one's going to be a long video just because they gave us so much new cool stuff to look at. And also there are people out there that want to avoid the encounter stuff, and so I thought separating them into two different videos was going to be a good way to make sure that if you wanted to avoid that spoiler stuff, maybe for the campaign or whatever, that I will be talking about in the other video, you can watch this one and rest assured I'm not going to spoil anything. So, let's talk about the heroes, because they look insanely cool. We have two, Cable and Domino, and they're both interesting and both very unique. We're going to start with Cable, we're going to talk about his shtick, everything he does, go to Domino, and then we're going to talk about some player cards at the very end of the video that come with the Leadership and Justice precons, but also if you want to jump around and see a specific thing first or whatever, timestamps, check them out. It's going to help you get around and navigate the video. Cable is incredible. He looks so cool. He looks like one of the coolest solo heroes out there, and that's saying something because I think I'm more excited for Domino. And so I'm sorry, this is gonna be a high energy video. So on Cable's alter ego side, Nathan Summers has 12 hit points and a recovery of 4. He has a special deck building ability that allows him to include player side schemes from any aspect in your deck. That's right, we got player side schemes. We talked about it in the Villain Theory video. Me and Villain Theory, we were doing wild speculation. This is one of the things we were talking about. So, haha, we did it. He also has a setup ability that allows you to go find a player side scheme and put it into play at the start of the game. Because he kind of revolves around this is a really healthy and a really welcomed setup ability to help you hit the ground running, especially because a lot of the side schemes don't have negative benefits, or negative effects, I guess, for being on the table. But let's talk about the side schemes a little bit before we talk even more about Cable, because these are like missions that you can go on that once you defeat them, you get a specific benefit. So one of the ones that got spoiled, I guess it's not spoiled anymore since they announced it. One of the ones that got announced is Call for Backup. This is the leadership one. It costs 1 to put it into play, and then it comes in with 3 threat per player. So like a normal side scheme, it doesn't have any like negative implications, but when it's defeated, everyone gets to search your deck and discard pile for an ally and put it into play. This is so freaking good. You can set this up for the exact right time to get like your high cost allies. So the aggression player at the table can get Wolverine into play. You can get Heimdall into play for 5 costs. There's just a lot of ways that you can utilize this, which is just 3 threat per player, which is not a huge ask, especially with some of the other cards that we're getting in this pack, to take care of. And once you do take care of that, everyone gets to put an ally into play for free. And so in solo, this works really well. In multiplayer, this works incredibly well. Whew, multiplayer is going to be insane. And you can just leave it out there because it doesn't necessarily have a negative side effect. So it doesn't have an acceleration icon or anything that is negatively impacting the game for it being out there. So let it sit out there until you need to take care of it. Or they did hint at there's a limit to how many player side schemes that you can actually have out there at a time. But you can set it up and trigger it to go. We got a couple of these, and we're going to talk about the Justice one next. It's called Take Out the Guards. It comes in with 4 threat per player. It says whenever you defeat it, each player can discard 1 non-elite minion from play. So this is taking one of Justice's biggest weaknesses, which is handling minions, and allowing you to turn your strength, which is managing threats, into killing or discarding the minions, the non-elite minions. So it helps you kind of get around and turns your strengths and helps you utilize them a little bit more. And it's just such a cool design. I love the fact that we are getting like the leadership one that leans into the strength of leadership, as well as this justice one that is like leaning into the weakness of justice, or I guess like, you know, building up that weakness. And so the design space here is really cool. I hope we get a lot more of these just as the future of the game goes on. I hope this is not just this wave. I hope we get this for the future of the game, because I really like this design space. We did get a protection one as well, and this one's called Established Perimeter. It comes in with 2 threat per player, and then once you defeat it, you give each character, or each identity, a tough status card. This one is a little bit less optimized, I think, especially because a lot of the times the tough cards are going to be less expensive than necessarily this gives you, especially because managing threat in protection is really tough to do, and so adding threat for something that gives you a tough status card, which is also already leaning into something that you're able to do really well, is tough. Multiplayer, this makes it a lot easier to play because you can just have the justice player take care of it, but because Cable can include any of the aspect side schemes in his deck, and it can play off of his abilities, this one gets a lot easier to play in Cable. So let's talk about Cable now. He has a 2/2/2 stat line, incredible, and it states that after you defeat a side scheme, you get to ready. So now Established Perimeter in solo cost 1, it gets you a tough status card for that basic thwart activation, and then you get to ready it, which is still not exactly where we want to be for our cost consideration. However, Cable plays with this idea more. Because all of these have victory display, they go to the victory display when you defeat them. Cards like Precognition, Telekinetic Blast, and Mind Scan all play off how many side schemes are now in that victory display. So these cards scale from like a mediocre payoff, like let's look at Telekinetic Blast. It's a 3 for 6. Hero card, not good, right? We're looking kind of for that 3 for 8, but it gets +1 damage for each side scheme in the victory display. So now if you have 3+ side schemes in the victory display, you're getting like 3 for 9, which is over that cost expected payoff. And so now we're getting talking. And not only are your cards getting better, but because the side schemes are coming out of your deck, they're going to that victory display, you're getting more consistency now in drawing these uber efficient cards. So if you have 3 cards out of your deck in the victory display, you're looking at 37 minimum cards, right? You probably have played upgrades and everything. So you're going to be drawing into these your high efficiency cards more frequently because you're thinned your deck down. This is where I want to talk about a Cable specific side scheme. It's called Technovirus Purge. It's a side scheme that comes in with 5 threats, and only Cable can thwart this card. Once it's defeated, you place it in the victory display, and it gives Cable the Psionic trait and +1 to all of his stats. So now Cable's a 3/3/3. Okay, cool. Cable gets really good. It may take a little bit of time to get you to thwarting down that 5 scheme, but once you do, Cable, a 3/3/3 with a ready and solo, it's a little crazy, and it leans into that flexibility that you are going to be able to capitalize on. So that gives him the plus stats. And not only is that incredibly good, it gives him the Psionic trait, allowing him to access all of those cool Psionic cards that previously only Phoenix could play, and also gives you the OP version of Cerebro. So now we can pull out like Psychic Assault, trigger deal damage and confuse the villain, roll down to Alter Ego, trigger Cerebro, and another one of his Alter Ego supports called Professor that allows you to either draw a card or add a player side scheme to your hand, getting you ready to ramp to those events even more. And even if you did not have Confuse or you didn't want to stay in Alter Ego for whatever reason, he has a card called Body Slide that allows you to change forms, and then every player at the table can also change to the form you just changed to. So if you're changing from Alter Ego to Hero form, you play this 0 cost card, everyone in Alter Ego form can follow you to Hero form or vice versa down. So if you Body Slide down to Alter Ego, everyone can roll down to Alter Ego, do whatever they need to do in Alter Ego, triggering all of those awesome supports, flip right back up on their same turn. So they get like some of the benefits of Alter Ego with still maintaining the hero side. Even in like a solo player game, this is pretty nice to just flip, trigger Cerebro, and then flip back, or flip, trigger, whatever your Alter Ego supports are going to be, and then flip back. Cable also has the ability to add villain side schemes to the victory display with his card Forced Amnesia. It states that after a side scheme is defeated, you can discard, or you can move both Forced Amnesia and that side scheme to the victory display. It's an upgrade that you can play. So this triggers all of those cards, increases those efficiencies. If you get a card out there that's not going to the side scheme or not going to the victory display, it would be discarded, and it's like one that you really don't want to ever see again, you can add that to the victory display. So even increasing the efficiency of cards, but it can also just toss some of those nasty ones that really you don't want to ever see again. And so that's really nice. I did glance over or talk just slightly about precognition. I want to jump back in. Sorry, this is a little bit jumbled, but I'm just like really excited about it. But this is a really freaking cool card. It allows you to look at the top X cards of your deck, where X is the number of cards in that victory display. Discard one of those and place the rest back in any order. This is incredibly strong. It allows you to set your boost cards, your encounter cards, let you like understand and know what is coming. So if like an advance was going to be your encounter card and you had maybe like a nasty boost card, you could swap those and then draw a 0 for your boost, and then have the 3 boost or whatever the nasty boost effect was as an encounter card instead. Or, I mean, heck, just run Cosmo, right? If you Cosmo allows you to discard the top card of any deck, and if you call the named type that gets discarded, perfect. You gotta go. Cosmo also is a big fan of the other hero, but we'll talk about that later. So there's just a lot of ways that you can manipulate, and manipulating the encounter deck in this game is very good because there's multiple ways that it can be used, like the boost cards, the encounter card effects, and so being able to set up what is coming, maybe pull out a side scheme that has a victory, like, right? You don't want that as a boost, you want that as an encounter card because it's going to lead into and snowball your entire kit. Cable is going to be so insane in solo play. I think he's going to really thrive in the justice aspect because he's all about defeating side schemes, and so all your cards like Skilled Investigator and like the cards that help you remove threat are going to just help you do what you want to be doing. And so I think he can play in all the other aspects as well. Protection may be a little rough, but once you get that Technovirus Purge, and the victory display is a 3 thwart, so you can use his basic activation to thwart down some of those side schemes. And so he's going to be incredible. Also in scenarios like Taskmaster or Hela, where there are victory display side schemes that come out and you're using, he's going to ramp so quickly. Cable comes with a leadership precon. We're going to talk about those after we discuss Domino. Again, there are timestamps, so if you want to hop down and see what the leadership cards or some of the aspect cards, you don't care about Domino at whatever, which you should because Domino's sick, you can jump there. But let's talk about Domino now. She looks insane. She has like this luck mechanic built in, and the way that they have implemented that into her game mechanics are on her alter ego side. She has a ability to swap a card in your hand with the top card of your discard pile. So you can like play a double, swap it back, get it back. Or on your hero side, she has the ability to swap the top card of your deck with a card in your hand. So there's just a lot of manipulation that can go around from discard pile to hand, all of that good stuff. And that's because her entire like mechanisms deal with discarding cards or getting specific cards in the right spot. She feels like a very thinky hero and someone that I'm going to enjoy like on my 10th play, just because there's a lot going on here. And so I'm excited. I am a little wary on how many rules I'm going to miss my first 4 plays on her, but it's going to be a lot of fun. She's pretty cool. Her stat line on her hero side is a 1-2-3, which is probably my favorite stat line. I love the defense, those high defense stats. It's, you know, it kind of makes me think that I probably want to play her in protection, which is, you know, not going to be a bad aspect for her. And then also on her hero side, she just has the printed statement that whenever she counts resources from cards you discard from the top of your deck, count each printed wild twice. Makes no sense until you start reading her cards. This has a lot of major implications. So like Diamondback, which is one of her signature allies, that's right, she has multiple signature allies. She has a 2-cost ally with an action to exhaust her, discard the top card of your deck, and deal 1 damage to each enemy for each resource icon discarded this way. So if you can manipulate your deck so that you discard a wild, you get to count that twice, dealing 2 damage to every enemy. So if you are able to manipulate the top card of your deck, which you can do with all of her abilities to make sure that that is a wild, or just from your deck building, if you build into a lot of wilds, you can exhaust her, deal 2 damage to every character. Or if you get lucky enough and you're able to discard Jackpot, 3 damage to everyone, and then because it got discarded, it gets shuffled back into your deck for use later. Really cool to see another 3 icon resource card in a hero kit. Allows you to really play into some of those higher cost curves, and I'm excited about that. Plus, it gets shuffled back into your deck if you use it as one of her abilities. Her other signature ally is Outlaw, who is a 3-cost 1/1/3 with toughness. And then whenever Outlaw attacks, you discard the top card of your deck, and she gets +1 attack for each resource icon discarded this way. So very similar to Diamondback, but with some more targeted damage. So if you attack, you discard your Jackpot, you're attacking for 4, and then you get to shuffle your Jackpot back into your deck. So really solid damage with that 3 cost. Or you can combo it with her unofficial signature ally, White Fox, and White Fox states that once she's discarded from the top of your deck, you can put her into play under your control. So she can use these abilities to either increase that damage potential, so now Outlaw is swinging for 4 or swinging for 2, and you get White Fox into play under your control. This is another ally that allows you to kind of snowball again into hitting the play condition of another card, the Posse. This is a card that states you can only play this card if you have 3 characters that possess the Posse trait. And it states that you can heal 1 damage from every character with the traits and then ready them. This feels crazy. So 4 damage is healed. So if you have 3 of the Posse allies out, plus Domino, you have 4 Posse characters. You get to heal 4 readies, all to activate them again. This really could be a winning card combo if drawn at the right time. And if it's not, it is a printed wild resource, so you can just discard it using Domino's ability until you need it. And then you can manipulate and go find, and just the combinations of how to play Domino are going to be so procedural and so interesting and intricate. There are way more ways to combo this discard mechanism with cards in her signature kit, similar to like a good workout. It's a 2 for 4 plus 1 damage per icon discarded. So you play it, discard a card, probably 2 for 5. I don't think I'm going to be running any non-printed I don't think I'm going to be running any cards that don't have a resource icon in her deck. So minimum 2 for 5, and then more likely a 2 for 6 if you manipulated the deck in order to trigger that wild resource. Luck Be a Lady has you discard the top card of your deck and gets a benefit based on the resources you discarded. So if you discard an energy, you get to heal 2 damage from a character. A mental, you get to remove 2 threat from a scheme, and it is not locked to the main scheme as any scheme. And then physical is 3 damage to an enemy. If you discard a wild, you get to choose one of the other abilities, and then her ability allows you to count the wild twice. So Luck Be a Lady looks so flexible, incredible in that solo play, and just allows you to do whatever you need to do in the situation that you're currently in. All of her cards seem to interact with this mechanic, and I'm really excited to see how that plays out. We've got like Domino's Pistols, which states that you can, it's an upgrade that states that you can exhaust this and choose an enemy, discard the top card of your deck, and deal damage equal to the resource icons on that card with range. So again, it's kind of like the power gauntlets from Iron Man. We probably have manipulated it so that we're getting a wild resource discarded, or we're building her deck so that we're pretty much going to be hitting those wild resources. So this is going to be a exhaust for 2 damage, just like consistent. If not, it's an exhaust for 1 damage. Now you are milling your deck, and so there is a little bit of a negative benefit that comes with that. Like if you deck out, you get those encounter cards, and Domino feels like she's going to be going through her deck very, very quickly. But she is very strong. She feels like a very powerful hero, and so that could be a little bit of a balancing mechanism. And I really don't think that going through your deck 1 card faster for each one of these cards played is going to be as negative as a benefit as the encounter card that you get whenever you do run out. So a little wary about that, but her cards are insane. And if you just build your deck around the wild, she's going to be crazy efficient. You can also use her supports to help manage that deck. So Pip the Pug is one of her supports that's going to allow you to exhaust Pip in Alter Ego. It is an Alter Ego action to put a Domino or a Posse card from your discard pile on top of your deck, and then flip up to hero form, and you can either draw it or use it for its effect. If it's White Fox, you get to put her into play. And so there's just a lot of reasons to go down to Alter Ego, because she has a really strong Alter Ego side, allowing you to manipulate that discard pile, as well as once you have Pip the Pug out, to manipulate it even further and make sure that you're getting the card, making sure that you're able to manipulate a card that you want to be drawing into. allowing you to figure out exactly what combo you want to do. Is it a card that you want to just draw? Like maybe it's at the end of your turn and you want to draw into your jackpot for next turn so that you can play it for that 3 effect. Or is it something that you, starting your turn, you want to put the jackpot on, you've used your jackpot, so you want to put it back on top of your deck so that you can roll up and then attack for 3 to every single enemy in play. Like, there's just a lot of options. She can be very flexible. And when reading through her cards, I was a huge fan. And I hadn't even read my favorite card yet. And that's Probability Field. This is the last one we're going to talk about. Probability Field is an upgrade that states whenever you use a basic power, you can discard the top card of your deck to get +1 to that power per resource icon discarded this way. This does not require you to exhaust it, so if you have ways to ready, you can use this multiple times in a turn. It's not limited to once per phase, once per round or anything, so if you have Justice Serves, if you have Ready to Rumbles, if you have ways to ready, this can get insane. She's going to be amazing solo, giving you the flexibility to thwart, attack, or defend. Increasing it with this probability field is really intriguing to me. And like the one thing that I was really concerned about is that one thwart stat with, she has a couple of thwarting cards in her deck, but sometimes you can get overrun by thwarts. Once you have this on the table, you can thwart for probably a consistent 3, which means that threat's not an issue anymore. And so it's just a really cool card. And I'm so excited for Domino. Cable looks so freaking cool. I'm excited what Cable is bringing to the table with all of his player side schemes and all of that. But Domino's mechanics feel like something that I am going to absolutely love. I'm so pumped. I am so pumped. She has so many wild resources in her kits. 14 out of 15 of her cards are wild. The other one is Jackpot, which has all 3 of the resources. And so that's going to be great for her abilities. She's going to be great at removing all of those different attachments on the villain that require a specific resource. Because they're all wild, she can deal with them. I'm excited to build her with all of the cool new resource cards that we have, like Passion for Justice, Aggressive Energy, Audacity, Innovation. All of these cards get very, very playable in Domino's kit because not only do they have the ability to pay for different cards with that additional benefit, so Passion for Justice, removing an additional threat, you can also just increase your likelihood of discarding it and counting it twice for whatever effect that you're using for Domino. There's just so many puzzly decisions that's going to come from her, and I'm pumped. I'm going to enjoy it. She's going to be tough the first couple of plays, but she's going to be one of those characters that once you figure out, after you've played 10 times, and I've figured out mechanically, she is going to be one that I think will rise to the top of my favorites list. I think she's going to be a lot of fun. Alrighty, let's talk about aspect cards now. So Cable came with a leadership deck and Domino with a justice deck, which is kind of funny because I think Cable's going to be really good in justice. And so, yeah, I feel like Cable's going to be really strong in justice, but the leadership deck looks interesting. It has cards like Caliban, allowing you to cycle your deck for another ally. He's also psionic, so he allows you to trigger Cerebro and the Alter Ego for the full effect. But we do have to be a little careful here because Cerebro allows you to go find an X-Men ally. These are X-Force allies. So if you are able to play some of the X-Men allies, you can go find Professor X or whatever, then yes, that is great. But Cerebro, there is not full synergy between what Cerebro can do and some of these allies, as well as some of the allies that we've seen. A lot of them are all of them, I think, are X-Force allies and not X-Men allies, so Cerebro can't tutor those exactly, but there is synergy between the two teams. The other thing that Caliban can do is he can discard until you get Phantom X. Phantom X is a 4-cost ally with a 1/1/3 stat line. He has a response to search your deck and discard pile for EVA and put it into play. I really like this design space. EVA is a support that states that if Phantom X is not in play, you have to discard EVA, but it is a support that says you can exhaust it to remove 1 threat, deal 1 damage, or heal 1 damage from Phantom X. So it's a on-call beat cop. No, it's not. It's not really, but it's just an on-call flexibility card. I think we'll probably see a lot more play on this in solo and multiplayer. I feel like there's a lot of resources that you could do, or you could allocate your resources into probably a better effect, but in solo, this flexibility is really, really good, allowing you to manage your threat, ping toughs, take out some stuff. It's not an attack, so you can get around retaliate, all of that good stuff. And then just keep Phantom X on the table to trigger other cards similar to like Strength in Numbers or Band Together. There's a lot of synergy to having allies on the table, and since Phantom X is not necessarily doing anything, it's really EVA that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, you can use Phantom X for other cards. So I'm excited about that. That's going to be pretty cool. And just one quick callback, Phantom X is expensive, but remember we do have the call for backup now, and so it's a way to get Phantom X into play very cheaply and get EVA, get that engine going, allowing you to manage anything that you need to manage until you're off to the races and you win. Another one of our leadership cards that we got today is Mission Planning. It plays off Cable's kit as well because you can only play it if there's a side scheme in the victory display. It's a 2-cost card that states allies do not take consequential damage until the end of the phase. I am not the biggest fan of this card. It feels kind of expensive to play. You have to have that side scheme, which if you're playing Cable, you will, but if you're not playing Cable, it gets kind of hard to include. Maybe if you have like the call for backup, you could do that, but preventing that one consequential damage is not the biggest benefit in the world, especially for a 2-cost card. So I'm sure there are situations that we are going to be using it, but it's not going to be an auto include in any of my decks. It's going to be more of a niche card that I would struggle to play. Maybe if I'm running allies that take a lot of consequential damage, cool, like that could be really fun. But it feels like a card that may not see as much playtime. A card that will get a lot of playtime is our X-Force team up card, called Uncanny X-Force. This is a 2-cost support that states that if all of your characters have the X-Force trait, each ally gets +1 thwart and -1 consequential damage after thwarting a side scheme. It seems like they built Cable's deck, his pre-con deck, to be really synergistic with his cards, which is really cool, but also his cards can be really strong. This team up card is really strong. The leadership player can now handle so much threats. We have all of our X-Force allies out there with +1 thwarts, and if they're thwarting a side scheme, they don't even get damage from that side scheme. And so there's just a lot that can go into how much threat leadership can now handle as the X-Force player. And it's really cool to see allies focus on taking out side schemes in the blue aspect as like it's not a new archetype, but it is a archetype that's getting more support, right? A lot of the times having your allies thwart is probably the strongest thing that you can do outside of like chump blocking, but having them get even more benefits for that, and then even more benefits if you're taking out side schemes, it's just a really cool thing that I'm excited to play. And it's like I'm really excited to take him against like a Red Skull with his like precon or close to his precon deck and just roll through all the side schemes. So Domino comes to us with a Justice precon and one of the most synergistic allies for her, which is Wolfsbane. Wolfsbane is a 3-cost ally with a 2/1/3 stat line, and the ability that states after he thwarts, name a card type and discard the top card of your deck. If it's the named type, you can add it to your hand. Because you have so much manipulation with what that top card is in Domino, you can thwart with Wolfsbane and get it back into your hand and just have some incredibly efficient turns. Because if you're drawing a card every single time with Wolfsbane, and he gets to activate 3 times and you don't heal him ever, then you get 3 cards out of that, and your effective cost of Wolfbane is the Wolfbane card, which seems really good. It seems very strong. Or you could go +2 cards, activate them twice, have them chump block. There's just a lot of flexibility with Wolfbane. I don't necessarily see myself running a Justice deck in Domino without Wolfbane. The last Justice card I'm going to talk about is Team Investigation. I did slip a couple of the other Justice cards just in other spots in the video, so we did get more Justice cards. I just wanted to talk about them in other places. So Team Investigation is a alliance card that costs 2 resources per player. This is a new mechanic that we've never seen before, and I'm excited for the space that this opens up more than I'm excited for the card, I guess. It's an alliance card. That means everyone can help pay for it. And so if you have a 2-player game, it costs 4 resources, but either person can pay any of those resources, and then you remove 3 threat per player from a side scheme. I don't love the efficiency here, right? I mean, we have a 4 Justice card that is a 2 for 4, and so a 2 for 3 from a side scheme. So you're locking down the side scheme, and 4 Justice can do a side scheme or the main scheme. It has more Oh, I guess if you're paying for it with a mental resource, which in Justice is really easy to do. It has more threat, removal, or even just like looking at for Justice without the mental. Now I'm just there's so much. I've been thinking a lot today. If you look at for Justice without the mental, it's the same. It's the same cost. It's 2 for 3 in a solo game, 2 for 3, and it's not locked to a side scheme. Now this could have some niche situations where it could be good, but really I would probably just run Spider-Man and like use him, bomb a side scheme, allow him to thwart, have an ally on the table. But I do like the design space that this card has opened up, and I hope we do get more of these alliance cards that have variable cost that multiple people can pay for. And then we are going to talk about one more card here, and it is the basic ally, which is Deadpool. And so we got Deadpool, insanely strong 3-cost basic ally with a 2/2/3 stat line, and a forced interrupt that says that whenever he would be defeated by taking consequential damage, you heal 3 damage from him and then add an acceleration token to the main scheme. Aside of like Sandman, this is not really that bad of an effect, especially in like a multiplayer game, but even still, you could just put him up for 3, thwart twice for 4 threat, and then chump block. That right there is really good value. If you're running leadership or aggression, you can run him as a Voltron ally, keep him around forever, throw a sidearm, a boot camp, have him be swinging for 4, and he can just kill stuff before those accelerations actually become an issue. Deadpool, I think, is going to get a lot of runtime in our decks. It's one of those basic cards that seems too strong for basic. But that being said, we have a lot of those, and so even now we're starting to balance out the basic side of the game with so many good options that you can't fit them all in. And so Deadpool basic card, I think, is going to be really interesting. I think he's going to be in a lot of decks, and the flexibility of just keeping him out forever versus a really efficient chump block ally, I'm all for it here. We are getting this box in August, so it is going to be a little bit longer of a wait, but I think it's going to be worth it. I'm so pumped to get these cards into my hand and play them. But we are getting 4 hero packs in this wave. They have given us this teaser. I'm going to put it up on the screen for the other heroes. Any thoughts? Do you have any thoughts? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear what you think about these, who these silhouettes could be. Also, in the comments, let me know who you're most excited to play. I am pumped for both of these heroes. I am leaning more towards Domino. I think that she is going to be a really fun hero to play, and I'm excited to hear what you think. What are some of your favorite cards that were talked about in this announcement? I'm excited. If you enjoy this content, like and follow. I'm putting out the villain video hopefully soon. This video went way longer than I was expecting, but here I am just rambling, talking about one of my favorite games of all time. So if you so hang out. We'll link the villain video below, but I cannot wait to play. I cannot wait to hear what you have to think about this. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you around. Peace.